Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome once again to a new episode of our Global Employability Expert Series. My name is Mirta Aguirre and I am the head of employability of virtual internships. I am very happy that you are all here today and I am very excited to meet our new speaker for today. So before we jump into our webinar, let's remember a little bit how this works, okay? So we are recording this session and we have recorded all the sessions we have done for our expert series webinar. So you can always check them afterwards. And we also have a YouTube channel where you can subscribe if you haven't done so. Once we end, I always send some follow-up slides, and there you can find all the information so you can subscribe and make sure you can you don't miss any webinar. You can ask all the questions you want in the Q&A section, okay? Please do not use the chat because questions may get lost in the chat and then we may not see them. Please write your questions on the Q&A section that you will find below. And if you have any questions related to your program, please reach out to your IEM. I am afraid I won't be able to answer them here. Okay, so let's discover the interesting topic we have for today, which is reporting global news, why in a world of fake news and post-truth, journalism is a key profession for a properly informed society. And I have a very interesting speaker, so I'm going to present this speaker to you. We have James Gatica Matheson with us today. A native from Santiago, Chile, James Gatica Matheson has reported world news for several years at Canal 13, Canal 13, the largest private TV station in the country, in Chile. In 2019, he embarked on the most significant milestone in his career as Canal 13's foreign correspondent in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He's also collaborated with BBC reporting on Latin America for TV and radio. At Canal 13 headquarters in Chile, James covered foreign affairs on a daily basis, like the 2016 US presidential elections and the Paris terrorist attacks. His experience enriched with field assignment in places such as Israel, the Palestinian territories, Argentina, Peru, and the Falkland Malvinas Island. In 2019, James graduated at Cardiff University from a Master of Arts in International Journalism as a Chipman Scholar, the prestigious United Kingdom's government international scholarship program for future leaders, influencers, and decision makers. He leads as Vice President, Worlds Heal the World, an NGO that empowers students to challenge hate speech and develop strategies to tackle different types of extremism alongside Brazilian Chevening alumni Beatriz Huarque. In 2020, Words Heal the World got awarded the Luxembourg Peace Prize for Outstanding Peace Organization for its preeminent efforts and initiatives to promote peace and challenge hate speech. So we have a very interesting guest today. So let's see what James will talk about today. So in this webinar, James will reflect on the importance of journalism to foster a properly informed society while he walks us through his journey as a young awarded journalist. You will discover what being a journalist entails and what you need to become one. So without further ado, I'm welcoming James. Welcome, James, to our webinar today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina. As Mirta asked how hot or cold was, I just checked the weather and it's 12 degrees here. It's only 8 a.m., so it's quite lovely. There's some clouds in the sky, but I think it's gonna be quite a nice day. Thank you so much for having me. For me, it's a pleasure to be here with you all and to share a little bit on what my short career has been so far. I'm only 30 years old, but I'm proud of what I have achieved so far and the path that I have walked to make it to this point. So I'm gonna cover a little bit about what were those steps that I took, the decisions that I made, the things that I took into consideration when I studied some things, and what entitles to be a journalist today, and the importance, the relevance that the key role that journalists have in our society. So I would like to start. Well, when I start when I enrolled in university for my undergrad, but just a little bit before, during my high school years, I never considered journalism as a career path. I always thought I was going to become a lawyer and study law and probably work in a law firm. And just a few weeks before, just a couple of weeks before starting uni, I realized that probably to work full time in an office um, during my for my whole life, it will be quite boring. And
James, sorry, I'm
probably,
hearing
sorry, yeah,
that the sound is not very clear.
can you hear me fine? Can
Um,
you?
I believe, what is it that is not too clear, guys? Let me see. Can you
Can you,
speak?
Mirta, hear me?
Can
I
everyone
mean, I
hear
can hear you
okay?
fine.
Okay, I
Yeah,
think we're
probably
fine.
someone. Yeah, thank you everyone for
Okay,
the
thank
feedback.
you.
So okay, so anyway, so I realized that by then that obviously probably to work in office full time it will be not that challenging or interesting for me. I work around papers, but okay, so I have sort of like a crisis by then, and I thought maybe what I will do, and for a couple of weeks, probably a month, didn't know what I will do. And in Chile, to get into university, you have to do general knowledge tests in language, math, science, history, things like that, and then you get certain points, and then you apply to university. And I did the test without knowing what I will do afterwards. And that was like, okay, I literally have no idea. I spent my 4 years in high school knowing what I was going to do and then have no clue what it was going to happen next. And that was quite like uncertain, and obviously was nervous about my whole career, what was going to happen after high school. And probably a couple weeks after I did that test to get points for applying to university, I don't make fun of me, but I learned that journalists, I studied journalism. I never considered this profession to be something that people will go to university to be taught about it. I thought they will just very gifted and talented people who will able to speak clearly and probably have very nice writing skills, and they will be charismatic to be on TV or whatever. But I never thought they will be trained people, like they will go to proper university like everyone else. And I started researching all the programs, all the classes that that you have to study your journalism, and I discovered that there were some skills that I was kind of beginning to build in my teenage years, that they have a good match. There were social skills. There was people skills like public speaking. There were languages skills as well, and also there were classes in like many topics. There were things about politics, there were things about economics, history, sociology, anthropology, and it was just a bit of everything. And it was like, wow, this is very interesting. Like to be able to connect and communicate about many things at the same time, and to be a professional on communication. That was something that really caught my eye, and I said, okay, this probably, I wasn't that sure by then, probably could be something that I could study, and maybe I'm good at it. I don't know. And during my years at university in Santiago, Chile, I had some opportunities, for example, to do a student exchange semester in Canada, which was very interesting for me. I was able to, so for some of you, maybe you don't know, in Chile, the language is Spanish, so all my classes were in Spanish, of course. And but I was obviously improving my English skills, and I thought maybe one of the opportunities to improve it even more, could be go abroad and do some semesters or a year on my same classes, but in another university. So I checked in my university, and there were some programs that were allowed me to do similar classes, but in another school in Canada. So I did that, and it was such an amazing opportunity because I could improve my language skills from social level, I would say, to more academic level. And this could apply for anyone. Like even if you speak in English as your first language, if you have another language like Spanish, French, Italian, German, Chinese, who knows, Arabic, you could go somewhere else and improve it through these resources that many universities have as they do exchanges with other schools in other countries. So this is something that if you're studying, you could consider to start building your CV for a long time, because this experience, you will not only take classes and you will pass them and you will get a credit to graduate eventually, but you will get to know people, and this will eventually be so reachful and make you just a better professional, because you have experience and all of people with your similar peers in your class will maybe don't have. So that was something that I'm so happy that I took the opportunity during 1 year at the university in Chile. And the credits that I needed was through an internship, as you may be looking at the moment. So I had to do 3 months working in some sort of media outlet in Chile. And by then, I realized that probably I will not work ever in media, like in a proper newspaper or radio or TV station, but I would jump into corporate communications because I thought it would be more interesting, maybe more profitable, things that people may think that it will be better for me. I don't know. Nothing really connected me with probably the daily work of journalism, but more into communications. But as I had this chance to do, and it was mandatory to do an internship, I thought, okay, probably I can go to a media outlet to do my internship and have this experience at least once. That's it. So I started looking for what could be the best options. And the best one was to work at Channel 13, which is the largest private TV station in Chile. And it's very reputable and have a national-wide networks, and it was quite big in Chile. So I applied for that internship. I got in, and after 3 months, something clicked inside of me. Something really excited me about what was going on in the newsroom, about breaking news, and that adrenaline that you get when something is going on, and also the chances that I have to communicate that even as an intern. And be part of that process of communication, to communicate things to our audience who knows where, and that's something incredible. Lucky for me, when I finished my internship, they offered me a contract, and I still had another year to finish my thesis at university. But I took the position, and I worked during the weekdays, and then write my thesis on the weekends for a year, and I finished it well. And I started working as a journalist, first as a producer for the international desk, where I was able to use my language skills, English, of course. And that was something that really always interested me, the world, what was going on outside, how we could translate what the events happening in the world, and what is the relevance for us in this country. If you know where Chile is just in the very south of South America, probably quite isolated, kind of, and out of quite far from from I don't know, the United States, of Europe, or even Asia. Some people may think that things don't relate or do not affect in some way to what is going on in the South, but we all were affected by the social media blackout on Monday. Was it a Monday? We didn't have WhatsApp, Instagram, and that was people all around the world would have been affected by that. Yes, I can imagine that everyone got to some extent got that blackout um, got involved with that breaking news all around the world. So I know that for fact that was something important, and I started working in the newsroom, delivering stories about world stories, so about the world news, breaking news, as Mirta mentioned, covering elections and terror attacks, and also have some assignments on the field. I have the chance to travel within Latin America and also to other countries, and to learn what is going on in places of conflict. For example, Israel and the Palestinian territories. You may have heard how tense the situation is over there for years, and I was able to go there to speak to people, to learn what is the situation with them, the daily life, and trying to, as I said, translate those realities to the people in Chile, and that was such a privilege, and I think I was able to use again my people's skills, my communication skills, my language skills, like no other professional could do. So I think that is one of the key roles of journalism today, to be able to share and communicate what is going on around the world, what is important, and also to be clear about what is news, which are the facts and which are not facts at all, and they're fake news. We maybe have heard about those concepts quite recently in the recent years. Fake news are all around, and journalists have a key role trying to be clear about what actually have to pay attention to. So after 5 years working at Channel 13, I was granted a scholarship to do a master's degree in the UK. I realized that I was obviously having some practical experience working as a journalist, but there was something else that I could do to improve my knowledge, to improve my skills, which could be many, not just, as I mentioned, communication skills, but there were things regarding technical stuff and video things and ways to report things. And I thought, where could be the best place? What is my reference regarding media outlets? And I thought, okay, the BBC is like a big thing for any journalist. So I started looking for programs, blah, 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 and I found Cardiff University in Wales in the UK. And they worked so close with the BBC in Wales that they're actually in the same building. The School of Journalism is in the same building that the BBC. They were that close. And I had such an amazing opportunity to be in classes where my lectures were former corresponders in Iraq, and they were working in field, working on documentaries, and having like such huge experiences as a journalist that I was able to get those elements and apply it in my life. So after that year, I graduated with a Master in International Journalism, and also had the chance to meet many people from all around the world, because this scholarship that I got, which is called Chibining, maybe you are eligible from your country. So I highly recommend you to check for that opportunities. It's such an amazing program, and it's totally worthy to see if you can think about a master's degree in the future with a scholarship. I returned to Chile, and I was offered, instead of return to the international desk in Santiago, they offered me to go somewhere else, to travel to Argentina, Buenos Aires, Argentina, based there, and work as a correspondent for Latin America. And that is where I'm being for the last almost 3 years. I cover Argentina and all the things happen in Argentina: politics, economics, sport, a lot of football, like real football, not American football, like football, River Plate, Boca Juniors, if you're a fan of football, climate change, and many other topics that if you're not in the country, you could report about those things from your desk. But if you're in the country, you live in and you deal with the same issues that many people do. It's just you have another perspective, and that is amazing. And that is the privilege that we have as correspondents to be in the place, to talk with the people, to to see the struggle with economical crisis, with the pandemic, and then use that information and translate it into the reality of my audience, and in my case is Chile. And from Argentina, I was able also to create a portfolio of stories and reports and long pieces that I started uploading to my social media, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, where other people could see it as well, and was visible for all the other media outlets that also contact me as a freelance to collaborate with them. And that is how I got the chance early this year to start collaborating with BBC, actually, radio and also TV, doing some reports about what is going on with the pandemic here in the South, vaccination campaign, all the restrictions with borders. And I think if I didn't have the chance, or if I didn't take the decision to travel and to move to Argentina, I would be otherwise stuck in Chile in the newsroom. I didn't have this platform. And I think it's been such an amazing opportunity to be here with the people and report about what is going on in their daily life that otherwise it would be impossible. So I know the time has passed so fast. So I'm going to give you some tips about how maybe choose for a career in journalism or communications or media, who knows, according to what I have experienced during my career. So first of all, to acknowledge your skills. I didn't know what my skills were when I was a teenager, when I was finishing high school. I didn't know that my speaking skills, my public speaking skills were something not unusual, but it was something else that could improve and be used in a professional level. Languages. I not only speak Spanish because that is my first language, and also English because I got fortunate. My mom always encouraged me to improve my English as she's British, but also now I've been learning French for 2 years, and that was one of the greatest decisions that I took during the pandemic last March, when everything was going into chaos. I enrolled in a French course twice a week, and I think it was a great decision. I mean, I don't know what you did during the quarantine from the long lockdown, but I think it was a good use of time. The languages are always useful. They open doors for you to speak with people, to connect with their culture, to learn what is going on in their daily life. Probably I will not ever be able to report in French, but maybe I could do an interview and understand what they will reply. Not only in France, but probably in some African countries or in the east side of Canada, who knows. So skills, languages, opportunities. Your role in some sort of education system. Look for opportunities. There are resources for every one of our students. Even after you graduate, there were some connections that your institution may have to do not only internships, but also work placement or exchange with other universities. So you can take these opportunities because they're worth it for the whole experience, not just the academic part. You get to know people, you learn about different cultures, and you also share your experience from your country and share it with people that maybe never heard about your country. I was living, when I was in Canada, I lived with a family that they studied in Chile. We eat chili with carne. That is like a meal they eat in Mexico, and we never had that in Chile. So that is a random fact. But what I want to say is like you're ambassador of your court, of your culture, of your country when you're abroad, and that is such a great opportunity. So if you're looking for a career in media, there are so many paths you could take, not just in journalism as a reporter, but also in media, in productions in many ways, and also as a communication person for a corporate, for a business, for a company, and even working for government like in PR. So, and in journalism itself, there are many things you can report on. I report everything about Argentina, but you can report about sports if you're a fan of it. You can report about science and climate change. That is a hot topic at the moment. So the possibilities are endless. You just have to look for something you're interested and passionate about it. And I think I'm fortunate to do that in my life, and that is a privilege. That is the reason why I also wanted to share it with you today. And I know, Mirta, that probably there's some questions.
Yeah, James. Well, first of all, thanks for sharing your experience, and I was really reflecting on what you shared about your path, right? And some things that I got, which I think are really interesting to remember, is like, well, you started saying that you were not sure about what you wanted to do, right? It was not like you had all this purpose super clear in your life, and then you said, oh, I know, I was born to be a journalist. Well, that was something that you discovered along the way. And I think that's something important to have in mind, for all our interns that are here. Sometimes we may not have so clear what we want to do, and that's okay. Career development is about discovering ourselves, trying ourselves, doing different stuffs, being exposed to different tasks and jobs. And one day, we said, okay, this is what I want to do. So that is my first reflection. Then I wanted to highlight some things you mentioned. So some things that were key for you were like doing an exchange at university, learning languages, doing an internship that gave you a perspective of something that perhaps you said, at the beginning you had some doubts because you said, this is not what I want to do. Then you discovered that maybe I could do this for a while. And then you said, wow, this taught me so many things, right? So I think that's good to reflect that sometimes we may have an internship or an experience that at first we said, I'm not sure this is what I want to do. And then if in your case, it worked out. But even if it doesn't work out, then we said, I learned so many things, right? And then you mentioned something really interesting, which for our interns here, I invite you to explore. These are the Achieving Scholarships. This is, those people who are in the UK, I'm sorry, this is not for you. This is for people who are abroad. That allows you to do a master's degree. And something that James said that is interesting is that Achieving Scholarships do not have an age limit. When you start looking for masters and you create your career, sometimes you, a little bit like it happened to me, I discovered my passion when I was already not old, but not too young, right? That's how we met with James. We both did our scholarship in the UK, and then we are part of the same alumni network. And I was quite not super young. So this scholarship allowed me to do this master's, which was a great turning point in my career, as James described. So for you to have in mind, guys, we will share when we share the reporting and the slides, the information about the scholarships, because it may be also interesting to you. So that said, and you said something also really interesting, and acknowledge your skills. We all have a lot of skills. We need to recognize that, right? And also, I have a very interesting question. Someone says, as a journalist, do you find it difficult to know the facts sometimes? Or how is it that you report the truth? What is it? Is it challenging?
Nowadays, very difficult to know sometimes what is true and what is fake, or what is a fake news. Because one of the things about a fake news is part of it is actually true, but it's presented with some elements that are not true and then created another reality. So a way to know if what are you reporting is actually news, which is a fact, is looking for sources and checking that is something that you're learning when you're in university. If you have a source that said, for example, Mirta said that today in Buenos Aires is cloudy, I may not only, I'm not in Buenos Aires to open the window and see that it's cloudy. I may have to ask another two people in Buenos Aires to see, hey, how is the weather like outside? Is it, no, it's actually very sunny. And the other person would say, no, actually it's cloudy. So I have to double check my sources and then get into a conclusion. But that is the only way. And as I said, today is very difficult because things are put in social media and internet so easily that you can probably see something that looks like a proper website, like a proper media outlet, like a newspaper, and the article looks very like refined and has a nice headline and a nice front picture and whatever, but actually it's a fake. It's created and it's a fake news.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? We live in a world where we have so many contrasting ideas and news. So I really trust you that that's challenging. And talking about challenging, we have another interesting question. As a journalist, what was the hardest thing that you faced in your job, that most challenging situation while in your work? What was that?
Oh, I think when you report about injustice and things like, I don't know, poverty, and you have to go to quite vulnerable neighborhoods and see childhood, like children in very like terrible situations, and say, wow, this is crazy how they have to live on daily basis in this kind of context. And I'm so privileged to have like a running water. That's it. That is probably when you get more attached to your story, to the people that you are involved with, when there is injustice involved.
Yeah, and so you also are part of this NGO that is called Words Heal the World. And so how can we, as normal, between, brackets, I'm a normal, like regular citizens, fight hate speech and fake news? What I can do from my house, right?
So hate speech become a thing when you face or present yourself in front of something with prejudgment. And prejudgment is a thing when you have not a clear idea of you have the whole picture of something or someone's reality. And this kind of extremism happens in so many ways, like in religions way, like in a religion spectrum, race, gender. If I'm, for example, if I don't know what entitles to be a Muslim, I could have a prejudgment of what they do. Same thing with Jewish or Catholic people or Christian people. So a way to fight extremism is to learn about different paths of life and to be more informed about what is going on with them, so we can have a better understanding about the decisions they take or the issues they get involved with. And nowadays we are, because of the internet, have access to so many resources and stories and people that both things to have a misunderstanding about their realities, but also have the chance to learn more about their path of way. So what we do at the World Heal the World is actually visibilize what the issues are and to make it clear for people to understand. And the best thing is the only organization in the world that is run by students like you, many of you, and create social media campaigns and write articles and seminars and short documentaries about this issue, so they could become more visible.
Yeah, I believe that if we can, travel is like a great way to expand our world and see that we are more alike than different. And the more we know other people and we explore different ways of living, we understand that we are all different, all equal in the sense that we have in different life trajectories, but we are all human, right? And that's a way to eliminate some stereotypes, prejudgments we may have, right? I have another question, like what is, okay, so one key skill you mentioned, it was public speaking, right? We can train ourselves, we can practice, but what is the role of writing skills and how can you improve your writing skills?
Reading, and reading. Not only books and fiction, but reading news, because that is a style. You do not write news stories as you write a novel or I don't know, a screenplay. News stories have a specific structure, and we don't use much adjectives, because that is when there are some elements that are far from the fact. So
you're making your own interpretation when you put these adjectives.
Exactly. You have to get a focus with the facts. And yes, just practice. And at the beginning, I wasn't that good at writing, obviously. And then you enter into the loop of daily writing news stories. And to write for a newspaper is completely different of what, for example, I do to when I write a script for my TV packages. And also it's quite different to when I do radio, because in radio, you don't have the support of images. So I have to describe better what is going on in the place where I am. And when I have the pictures for TV, I just have to include older elements and vice versa.
Yeah, and I think that also, well, you know, I'm also passionate about communication. I teach public speaking at university, and something that I always tell my students is like, we always need to think about the audience, right? Who are we talking to? And then we need to adapt to the audience using the right words, making sure that they understand what we're sharing. So, okay, do we have any last question for James, who has to leave to continue covering world news and burning news? Do we have any last question before he leaves? Please write it in the Q&A section so we can share it with James. Yes, James, tell us.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you have, probably you don't have a question now, but later on another day, if you want to reach me, please do on my social media accounts at James G. Matheson on Twitter or Instagram. I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you want me to, I don't know, share something like a news story or whatever, I'll be happy to reply to your comments as well.
Okay, I do believe we have one last question, which is a nice question, which is, what is that you enjoy the most in your job? What gives you the most joy?
To meet people in context that others do not have access to. You know, have the privilege to be in places that other people cannot. To meet not just presidents or whatever, or like a high level people, but to meet regular people with amazing stories and have the privilege to tell those stories. And that is the greatest privilege for me. And to travel, I love to travel. So
yeah, I imagine that must be really, really nice. Okay, guys. Well, I believe we are reaching to the end of our webinar. This was a really interesting talk. I think that we got some really interesting points, right, on how to reflect on our career, some key points that you heard, right, the importance of, well, also connecting with people. James didn't mention it like expressly, but we know that connecting with people is super important to start knowing more about other professions, other career path, and even discover, right? So really thank you for your time, James, and I thank you everyone for being here today. Remember, you can watch our past webinars. We're going to share this presentation. There you can explore some other topics. And you can subscribe to our channel, and I'm going to include some information regarding the scholarship in this presentation, and so you can keep on exploring. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I wish you a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and hope you will join us again in our next webinar in 2 weeks. So thank you very much, James. Continue reporting world news, and see you next time.
Thank you, Mirta, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
James, wait, so we didn't take a nice picture. So I invite you to smile, and the rest you can smile, but you won't be in the picture. So yeah. Okay, so thank you everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you, bye-bye.